We hold these truths to be self-evident.
I have a dream today.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've accomplished so much throughout history, as a nation, as an organization, and as an association.
We've come so far in the agricultural industry. It's taken leaders, advocates, and innovators.
But we believe we can do more, much more. You can do more.
Every single person has the ability to accomplish incredible things.
The potential to make a difference in agriculture, in your school, and in your life.
The potential is already inside you.
But change can only start with a single action, a single step.
You can be the change. Through personal growth and continual self-improvement, we can build leaders, grow communities, and strengthen agriculture.
It all starts with taking the step towards
Service,
Education,
Relationships,
Careers,
community,
advocacy.
Mentorship.
leadership.
So what are you going to do?
How will you
take the step?
This is for the busted hearts. This is for the question marks. This is for the outcast soul, lost control, no one knows. Sing it for the conquered bag. Sing it for the broken past. Sing it for the just found out. Life is now upside down. If you're looking for hope tonight, raise your hand. If you feel alone and don't understand, if you're fighting the fight of your life, then stand. We're gonna make it through this hand in hand. And if we fall, we will fall together. Together.
This is for the second chance. This is for the new romance. Singing for the left in vain. Overcame. It's not too late.
If you're looking for hope tonight, raise your hand. If you feel alone and don't understand, if you're fighting the fight of your life, then stand. We're gonna make it through this hand in hand. And if we fall, we will fall together.
Welcome back to the 92nd New Mexico FFA State Convention. Watch out because your next session chair is truly one of a kind. There's never a dull moment when he's around. He's creative, hilarious, brutally honest, and he's got some amazing stuff lined up for this session. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, your next session chair, Mr. Ty Mitchell.
That's where I lost my mind. I'm a prisoner of the highway.
If you're anything like me and spend a minimum of 2 hours on the road every day just to get to school and back, you can call yourself a prisoner of the highway, as the legend Ronnie Millsap would put it. Now, these 2 hours on the road are spent with my absolute favorite pastime. And before you think audiobooks or podcasts, those aren't the vibes I'm talking about. I'm talking about screaming music at the top of my lungs all the way there and all the way back. Now, I don't discriminate against any type of music. I'll throw down to anything you put in front of me. You'll find that out tonight before my retiring address. But if there's one genre of music that can fit any mood, anytime, anywhere, it's country music. Join us tonight as we replay some of the most iconic country hits in the music industry. So wherever you find yourself this afternoon, go ahead and kick back, let's grab a microphone, and we're going to make some noise as we introduce our Blue and Gold Presidents, an outstanding chapter scrapbook, the largest chapter in the state of New Mexico, and get to hear the award session of our talent competitors. We're going to wind out this session hearing the retiring remarks from our very own legend, Brandon Larinaga. New Mexico FFA, let's get ready to hear some vibes this session. The first song on the playlist is Mel McDaniel, Baby's Got Her Blue Jeans On.
Lord have mercy, baby's got her blue jeans on.
Lord have mercy, these next couple chapters have their blue and gold on. National blue and corn gold serve as our official FFA colors. They represent a pride in the organization shared by generations of leaders that have come before us. Chapter presidents are among an outstanding group of leaders who deserve to be recognized. Those presidents who are involved in the state and national programs deserve recognition here during this session. To be eligible for the Blue and Gold President's Award, a chapter must receive a superior chapter rating and have outstanding performance on the local, state, and national level. Let's get ready to hear our award recipients.
The 2020 Blue and Gold Presidents receiving a bronze rating are Adele Clark of the Hagerman FFA chapter, Bri Baptiste of the Cliff FFA chapter. The 2020 Blue and Gold Presidents receiving a silver rating are Spring Flowers of the Harding County FFA chapter, Ileana Cook of the Silver City FFA chapter, and Ryan Garcia of the Mesa Vista FFA chapter.
Congratulations to all the Blue and Gold FFA presidents. Our next song up on the playlist is Heads Carolina, Tails California by Joe D. Messina. Carolina, Tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer, up in the mountains, down by the ocean. I swear it don't matter, as long as we're going somewhere together. Heads Las Cruces, Tails Albuquerque, these next couple FFA chapters have documented all their memories from the previous year. A typical year in FFA certainly involves some memorable moments. Capturing the adventures of road trips, contests, conventions, or even just hanging out with the FFA crew allows us to take a look back on the previous year with laughter and smiles. The chapter reporter and historian are in charge of capturing these moments in the scrapbook, an artifact for current members to look back and future members as well. These scrapbooks are judged on neatness, completeness, and activities included.
The 2020 scrapbook finalists are, in third place, the Mesa Vista FFA chapter. In second place, the Moriarty FFA chapter. And your 2020 scrapbook winner is the Centennial FFA chapter. Congratulations, Centennial FFA.
Our next song up on the iconic country hits playlist is I'm Gonna Be Somebody by Travis Tritt. You can bet your hard-earned dollar that these next couple talent competitors are going to be somebody someday. Each year, New Mexico FFA has the opportunity to recognize the talent of our members from across the state. This year, talent competitors submitted a video recording of their talent to the New Mexico FFA Association, from which it was posted on social media for you to vote. Let's get on the edge of our seats as we announce the 2020 talent competition results.
In fourth place, Delaney Oberg of the Fort Sumner FFA chapter. In third place, Denny Weir of the Tatum FFA chapter. In second place, Mariah Grimm of the Dexter FFA chapter. Winning the talent show is Triple Frontier of the Mayfield, Centennial, and Portales FFA chapter.
Congratulations and good luck in your future. The next song we're fixing to hit on our playlist is one that's absolutely iconic. Party for Two by the good old Shania Twain. This next chapter doesn't just have a party for two. They have a party for over 300 FFA members. New Mexico FFA prides itself on celebrating the achievements of both members and the chapters that they represent. Each year, our association recognizes the chapter with the largest membership, and this year that chapter is the Mayfield FFA chapter with a total of 301 members. Thank you, Mayfield FFA advisors and members, for your continued involvement within our association. I would now like to call upon TJ Trujillo, Brennan Vaz, and Landon Knight to introduce our next speaker.
This guy, we've grown up together. We've been through everything together. We almost died together. We've had so many laughs together. We even cried at our last home game together. And over these years, he's been more than a friend to me. He's been there on my side through FFA, sports, even in school. He has grown to be my family, and I am proud to call him my brother.
For those of you that know Brandon know that he's an extremely smart individual, getting a 34 on his ACT. May I repeat that again? A 34, yes. But I've gotten the pleasure to know the not so bright side of Brandon from our wonderful deer hunt where we had to drag a deer approximately 2 miles uphill in the dark. What a rough, horrible time. But knowing that side of Brandon and seeing his funny sides, I've learned that he is kind, caring, driven, authentic, personable, goal-oriented, and hardworking. And seeing that side of Brandon, I've learned that it's been a pleasure to be by his side as he's traveled through this FFA career, and it's been an awesome experience to see him grow through it and the amazing impact that he's left on you members, and it's just a wonderful thing to see.
Brandon. How do you say his last name again? Brandon Lagonzaga. My favorite memory of the two of us is when we got the chance to go to For Golf in Lubbock. I just remember when you went up for that first swing, you had that golf club in your hand so tight, and when you went to go hit that ball, you swung as hard as you possibly could, but you accidentally threw that golf club as hard as you possibly could. But just like you threw that golf club, you always throw yourself into situations with your friends that you're always there for us, and you always have such a big impact on different things in our lives. You have such a huge impact on not only your friends, but also the FFA members around you, and I think that was one of the coolest parts to watch throughout your state officer year was the huge impact that you had on everybody around you. So, New Mexico FFA, it is our honor to introduce to you
your 2019-2020 District 2 President, State Vice President, my brother,
and my brother,
Brandon Lagonzaga.
Anyone who knows me knows I love movies. Anyone who really knows me knows I love superhero movies. It's true, I do, I love them. I own all the DVDs, all the movie posters, know everything about them, seen them all about a dozen times. I'm willing to bet most of you didn't even realize that was a Spider-Man theme song playing when I walked on. Heck, sometimes I'll even go to the theater wearing a Spider-Man costume. Don't believe me? Trust me, kids love it. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to be an action hero. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I'd run around letting my imagination run wild, thinking I was in a blockbuster, saving the world. For me, anything could easily become an adventure. Now, one of my most memorable adventures occurred when I was 7 years old. My family decided to take a trip to Disney World. First time I'd ever flown. Thought it was totally awesome. We got to Orlando, went through the terminal, got our luggage, and were waiting in line to get a rental car. Now, Orlando International is a pretty big airport with some cool stuff, like escalators. As a kid, the idea of escalators fascinated me. Stairs that moved. I thought it was totally awesome. So my parents are in line waiting to get a rental car, and I'm sitting with my brothers and my grandma by our luggage. But I was bored, and I was tired of waiting. And there was an escalator on the other side of the room. So I turned to my grandma. Grandma, can I go ride the escalator? No, you can't go ride the escalator. You can go look at it, okay? You can look at it, but you are not to get on. You hear me, young man? You put one foot on that thing, you are in big trouble. You stand there and you look at it. Am I clear? Got it, Grandma. So I'm standing there looking at this thing and I'm thinking to myself, what fun is that? I wanted to ride it. I mean, really, what's the worst that can happen? I'll go down one floor, turn around, and come right back up. And nobody will ever even have to be the wiser. So when Grandma looked away, I hopped on. I went down one floor, turned around, and was ready to come right back up. Only problem was there was 2 escalators, side by side. One went 1 floor, back to where I was supposed to be. The other, 2 floors. So naturally, I took the longer one. So I ride up to the main part of the airport. I wasn't worried. I was just exploring. I thought to myself, well, I better not be gone for too long, but I have some time to poke around. So I take my sweet time, strolling my way through the various gift shops and tourist stores, not a care in the world. I couldn't tell you how much time had passed, but eventually, I thought I'd better make my way back to my family. Only problem was, I had no idea how to get back to them. I had not the slightest clue where the escalator even was. Until I had a brilliant idea. I'll ride the elevator. That way I can go exactly where I need to go with one push of a button. So I made my way to the elevator and was feeling pretty proud of myself for coming up with that one. But as I stepped on, this big burly guy wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase looked at me and said, "Hey kid, you can't ride this thing by yourself. What do you think you're doing? Where are your parents?" Well, what I wanted to say was, "That's a great question, scary stranger," but instead, I just lowered my head and got out of there as quickly as I could. At this point, I was pretty worried. I really had no idea how to get back to my family, and I'd been gone for a long time. Meanwhile, when I had disappeared, my family quickly took notice of my disappearance. They informed security, who in turn had put the airport on security code lockdown orange. No planes in, no planes out, and every security card in the joint looking for little old me. I'm telling you guys, it was like a Home Alone movie. Meanwhile, I finally find my way back to the escalator that I rode up. At this point, I was really worried, and I didn't see any other option. I knew that there was only one thing to do. I would have to ride the escalator that brought me up. So I took a deep breath, steeled my nerves, and began to walk down the escalator that was carrying me up. Picture this, 7-year-old Brandon frantically trying to go down an escalator that is carrying in the opposite direction. I wasn't making any progress. At one point, I began to panic, and I started going faster and faster and faster. I wasn't making it anywhere. At one point, I just broke down and began to cry. I got down on my belly, and I was crawling as quickly as I could, desperately doing anything that I could to get to the bottom. And alas, to no avail. Well, that must have been quite a sight, because at that moment, a security guard standing at the bottom looked up, saw me, did a double take, and without taking his eyes off me, pulled out his walkie-talkie and said, "Yeah, I think I found him." So he rode up the escalator, scooped me up, turned around, went 30 feet to the left, and went straight back down where my family was waiting. Yeah, I know. The entire time, it was right there. I was crying, my mom was crying, my grandma was frantically apologizing, and I'm pretty sure that the security guard was still laughing at me. But I was safe. See, I was not a superhero that day. I'd set out to have this grand adventure and act like a hero, but in the end, I was one that needed saving. I was one that needed a superhero. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. He has always been my favorite superhero. Now, one of the reasons that I like Spider-Man so much is because of his origin story. Anyone who's seen a Spider-Man movie probably remembers the iconic clip with Uncle Ben.
I'm sorry, Emma.
Honestly, you don't have to apologize to me. It's
Hell,
your...
he doesn't.
Ben.
Look, I'm sorry, Uncle Ben. I got distracted.
Oh, you got distracted?
Yeah.
Your aunt, my wife, had to walk 12 blocks alone in the middle of the night and then wait in a deserted subway station because you got distracted.
Ben, sweetheart, honestly, I am completely capable of walking home.
You will not defend this
I'm
boy.
not defending.
You are defending him. Listen to me, son.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're a lot like your father. You really are, Peter, and that's a good thing. But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility. I've remembered that quote from the day that I first heard it. It comes from one of the greatest creative minds to have ever lived, Stan Lee. Stan Lee invented Spider-Man and dozens of other superheroes, and through the decades have changed people's lives with his work. He has brought joy to the life of millions of people. My all-time favorite quote comes from Stan Lee. That person who helps others simply because it should or must be done, and because it is the right thing to do, is indeed, without a doubt, a real superhero. A real superhero. Now that's something to think about. There may be no Spider-Man swinging through the streets of New York, Batman living in Gotham, or Avengers saving the world. But there are real superheroes. My dad is one of my greatest inspirations. I've always looked up to him. He never stops to think about himself, but instead is always doing what he can to look out for others and do the right thing for them. When I began high school, my dad made the difficult decision of moving to Albuquerque for work. At the same time, my grandfather became very sick and required around-the-clock care. For 3 years, my dad would work during the week and take care of his sick father on nights and weekends up until the day that he passed away. He rarely made it home. We were lucky to see him a couple times a month. But you know what? He didn't do that because he wanted to. My dad didn't want to be absent from his family's lives for so long. He didn't want to give up every ounce of his personal free time. But he did it because in that moment, his father, the man who raised him, needed him more than he ever had before. Every single day, my dad missed his family and his home. Every single day, he asked himself if he was doing the right thing. But he did it because it meant a better life for others. He made personal sacrifices for the good of others. Now that's a hero. My dad is a real superhero. My dad used to be a federal law enforcement officer. He had a good friend named Rich Cadano. Now, Rich and my dad went through training together and were very close. Rich lived in San Francisco, but one weekend flew to New Jersey to visit his grandmother for her 100th birthday. The family had a great weekend of celebration, but when the rest of them went home, Rich decided to stay one day later to spend a little extra time with his grandma. Now, of course, his flight had to be changed, so his new flight back to San Francisco was United Airlines Flight 93. Rich boarded that plane in Newark, New Jersey at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001. At first, it was nothing but a normal flight. Then, the chaos ensued. 4 terrorists seized control of the cockpit, immediately changing the course of the plane. The flight had been hijacked and was now headed directly for Washington, D.C. to strike the U.S. Capitol building. As the passengers on board frantically tried to reach their loved ones, they came to find out about the other 3 suicide terrorist bombings that had taken place that morning. It wasn't hard to put 2 and 2 together. They knew the fate that awaited them. Those passengers were meant to die on that plane as pawns in an evil act of hate and fear. But they made a decision. They chose to take a stand against malicious evil. They were not simply going to roll over and die. They made the choice to fight. The passengers on Flight 93 stormed the cockpit, forcing it to crash in a field outside Shanksville, Pennsylvania, 20 minutes before it would have reached Washington, D.C. In the months to follow, as officials went through the wreckage, they found a federal law enforcement badge in perfect condition right in the middle of the cockpit. Rich's badge. My dad had no doubt in his mind that Rich was one of the ones that led the charge that fateful morning. He knew in his heart that he laid down his life in order to save others. Those passengers on Flight 93 knew they wouldn't be going back home to their families. They knew that there was no walking away from this. They made the ultimate sacrifice. But they did it because it was the right thing to do. Now that's a hero. Rich died a hero. Rich Cadano and the other 40 passengers on Flight 93 are real superheroes. this world can be an evil place. This world needs superheroes. A superhero is not someone with a flashy costume or incredible powers, but someone who wakes up every day and says, I am going to make a difference in the lives of others. Not because they have to, but because it's the right thing to do. We just went through one of the biggest crises in our nation's history. Life was flipped upside down for all of us. But you know what? While we were forced to live in a new normal, we had everything we needed. We didn't starve. We didn't suffer. Do you know why? Because farmers, ranchers, and truckers did not give up their lifestyles when times got hardest. Through the power of American agriculture, we endured. I am able to stand up here today and look to the future of our great organization only because the principles that it was founded on held strong when the world fell to its knees. Every single one of us has the power to be superheroes. Every single one of you can be a superhero. I know this because I've spent the last year getting to know all of you. You make this organization incredible. That blue jacket on your back shows me that you are strong and you are mighty and that the world is counting on you to step up and use your power for good. That person who helps others simply because it should or must be done and because it is the right thing to do is indeed, without a doubt, a real superhero. New Mexico FFA, it's time to rise to the occasion, embrace the power that is in your hands, and show the world what you're made of. We can save the world, one hero at a time. We can all become real superheroes. So let's suit up.
There's a moment in your bones when the fire takes over. Blood is running, heart is pumping as the battle gets closer. They can say what they want now, 'cause we'll be screaming out, we can be heroes everywhere we go. We can have all that we ever want. Swinging like Ali, rocking out bodies, standing on top like a champion. Keep your heart silver, give me that gold. You'll remember when I say we can be heroes everywhere we go. Keeping us down is impossible, 'cause we're unstoppable. Oh, we're unstoppable. Oh, we're unstoppable. Every spotlight, every soundbite, everybody who gave up is just a fuel for wanting him more than anybody against us. They can say what they want.
Dear Brandon, thank you for always being the person that every single one of us on this team can go to tell you our feelings when we might not be feeling the best, or go to you for creative advice. You are the most selfless person I know and will be the first one to drop any work that you may be working on to help one another. Thank you for being the best accountability partner I could ever ask for, and thanks for helping me not rip out my hair even when I wanted to at some times. You're the best. Although we might make fun of you for your quirky camera videos and elk chases, we wouldn't have it any other way. Love Ryan, Coel, Kaysen, Kara, Sydney, Denny, and Ty. New Mexico FFA, I'm proud to present to you your District 2 President, State Vice President, Brandon Larrañaga.
We can be heroes everywhere we go. We can have all that we ever want.
Dad, I would not be the man I am today if not for you. Your lessons of hard work, diligence, perseverance, and responsibility are ones that I will always carry with me throughout my life. Between supporting me in the FFA and cheering me on at every soccer game, you've made so many sacrifices for me that I can only hope to repay someday. Whether we're cutting wood or on a hunting trip, I cherish every moment I get to share with you. I love you so much, and I'm proud to say that I am your son. Mom, never in my life will I know anyone with as much compassion as you. Thank you for teaching me how to love and care for others like no other. You've always been my confidant and have an answer for everything I ever need. You always make time for my passions and hobbies, no matter how much I may talk your ear off. I am able to continue to become the man I am today thanks to your infinite love and support. I love you with all my heart, and I'm honored that I get to call you my mother. AJ, you are one of the wisest, most intelligent people that I have the privilege of knowing. You have been my best friend from the day I was born, and I am forever grateful for our endless adventures and journeys we shared growing up. Whether it was competing together or knocking each other's teeth out, I wouldn't have wanted anyone else by my side. I love you and am so proud of the man you've become. Christian, while you may always be my little brother, there is no denying the incredible young man that I have watched grow up before my very eyes. We share endless laughs together, and our shared love for movies, soccer, and other passions is something that I treasure. You make us all proud each and every day, and I can't wait to see where your journey will take you in the future. Love you, little brother. New Mexico FFA, I'm incredibly proud to introduce to you my parents, Rob and Leslie Larrañaga.
During this session, we have seen the accomplishments of numerous individuals who unquestionably live to serve. We've heard the inspirational words from our very own state officer, Brandon Larrañaga, and learned about those who have some truly unique skills. Thank you for joining us for the second session of the 92nd New Mexico FFA Convention. Session 3 will air today at 5 o'clock. We hope to see you tune in.